Welcome to Texas Truck Channel. I'm Brian.
I'm Craig.
And this week we've got something special for you. And no, it's not that old Jeep. It's this new version of it. This is the 2023 Land Rover Defender 130, and you can tell because it's about a couple football fields that way in length, all the way down there. 90 is the two-door short one. 110 is the one you see most often, the four-door, but not that long. And the 130, this is a stretch one. This is the road trip version, if you will. It's an SE trim, and I got to pull this out because I can't remember the name of the color, Craig, because it's so special. This is not brown. Someone asked me the other day if this was just chocolate brown.
It looks brown.
It is Gondwana Stone. That is the color, and the interior is ebony slash ebony slash ebony, which means triple black on the interior, which is cool. Looks nice in there. So, look, this thing we'll show the people because they always ask. Starting price on this and the 130 is $78,300. After all the options, what we'll get to in a minute, $88,025. That's up there, Craig. That's a lot. And I'll be honest, at 88 grand, I don't know that this is my pick as a luxury SUV, but we can't forget its off-road prowess, which we'll talk more about that later. Let's talk about the design in the front. So coming on down, we had a classic look. It is a retro theme that harkens back to the original Defender that just is, it's their coat rack for their hat. They hang their hat on this thing. The Defender is all their heritage. Round headlights up here. Fog lights embedded below, which I prefer having a segregated fog light like that. And I actually love that this is painted silver instead of being just monochromatic. And you can do a lot of different customizations with Land Rover if you were to buy one and spec one. I do like that. You have a lot of choices there. You can do a black hood. This is a black roof in particular. This actually harkens back to our old LR3 a little bit. The painted silver is kind of a 90s thing. I like it a lot. I think it just looks really good. But the cool thing about this is you can do from the factory bull bars, auxiliary lighting, onboard air compressors, adventure packs, side mounts on the outside, all kinds of cool customizable things. I do want to point out that I don't see a tow hook down here. There might be one embedded below, but there's not one that's clearly visible and easy to get to. If you are serious about off-road, keep that in mind. Now, let's go around and check out the wheels. Something else I want to point out on the hood is that you have this kind of textured plastic panel, which I found very helpful to set drinks on and not worry about scratching the paint because this is a plastic surface, not painted. That's kind of handy when you're out in the trail and you're hanging out. Oh, I'm going to set some gear right here. I've got to put a map out, work on something. That's kind of cute. I like that. It's a good feature.
In the old Defenders, it was actually metal, diamond-plated things. You could step on it and reach up on your roof rack, but
not the case here.
But it's a good homage, and it works for what you said.
And if you do scratch it, you can just replace it because it's its own piece. So that's kind of nice. This, Craig, I don't know about you. This says GMC truck to me so bad. That or GMC truck says Land Rover Defender.
Ooh, maybe.
Which one is it? I think it looks awesome though. I like it a lot.
It needs a little marker in there. That would be great.
It's over here.
Oh,
so
yeah.
GMC would put the marker there.
Yeah. It's
cool. I like it. Something I want to point out is that you have 20-inch wheels. These are 255/60/20s Pirellis. This is an optional wheel, $1,300 option. And I got to say, it's not the best looking wheel. It's fine. I thought it was a standard wheel. I didn't realize it was an option. The coolest one is the Steely that you can get on the base trim. I happen to have it on our LR3 as well. So cool. But I get it. The buyer for this rig wants an aluminum steel or aluminum 20-inch wheel. That's what it does. I'm shocked at how good it rides with a 20. It is impressive. Up top, black roof rails. You can actually mount heavy items up here. The dynamic weight rating is over 300 pounds, which is way higher than anything we see from the factory from other brands, which means you can put an actual tent up there. The static weight is something like just shy of 1,000 pounds. So really, you can truly rooftop tent camp in this. That's awesome. I love that a lot. Here's a design element right here. This is just a plaqué right here, but you can mount adventure packs on this whole side of this rig. They hang off the top, they come down the side, the whole thing. I think this is kind of neat. This is a staple for Land Rover. You're going to see this, you know what it is across the parking lot, as if you didn't know already. You know what time it is? Fuel door. Predictions? No? I haven't fueled it yet. Oh no! It's a cap, dadgummit, but it's a single stage clip cap, and it has...
It doesn't work. It's terrible. It just
wait a second. Oh, that way. Okay, that way.
Yeah,
okay, well,
that's exactly what
happens. Yeah, we'll call it a fail. But
it requires premium.
It does require premium?
Yep.
Wow. Recommends premium.
Recommande.
Recommande. Okay, so you can run cheap stuff, but you'll get max power with high octane. And then you also have a DEF port here if you had the European diesel models, which we don't get here in the States. Coming around the back, one of my favorite features, Craig, this guy.
Yes.
I love a rear mounted spare tire. That is so cool. What else do you get that on today? Bronco, Wrangler, this.
That's pretty much it.
That's it. If you want to do this on your 4Runner and be cool off-road, you got to add one at several $1,000s. Like, it just has it. I think it's a cool spot. Keeps it from being underneath the rig down below. Keeps it out of the interior. I'm totally fine with it. Bring that back. Also, I love the design. This feels like it came out of an Art Deco
Controversial.
Studio. I like it.
Me too.
Bedded taillights and just like a signature
European
look.
fog lights?
Has European fog lights. It does. I tested them. they do work. And this is the P400 that talks about the powertrain. We'll discuss that here in just a minute. Craig's going to explain the door opening later, but let's come on down and check out the tow package. It does have one. This is optional $700 feature, and it is not removable. So on the old LR3s, look at the hitch on that one. That can come off for off-road purposes, but they've designed this one to be less low and in the way, so it can just drag off obstacles if you need it to, and you can also just not have it.
And they can tow like 8,200 pounds or something like that?
It's a lot, yeah, it's up there. So, and with this powertrain, I absolutely believe it. Let's check out under the hood. Time for the piece de resistance. Oh, look at that, Craig. I know it looks like it's this way, but it's actually that way. This is the inline six 3-liter Ingenium inline six from Land Rover. It's their own. They haven't borrowed it from Ford. They haven't borrowed it from BMW. They made it for themselves. You can get it in 4-cylinder variant or 6-cylinder variant like we have here. And what that does is it allows them to have a wide variety of power plants. So the base Defender comes with a 2-liter and it makes about 295 horse. This makes 395 and just over 400 in torque. And the way that it gets there is very interesting. It's actually a mild hybrid, but not in a sandwich method. The motor is not in between the engine and transmission. It's actually just off the starter motor. The starter motor is just massive and it helps the start-stop. That's why it's a 48-volt mild hybrid. For power, it has a big old turbo. There's no way around it. Twin scroll, and it rips all the way to redline. The way they made that work and not be some boring low RPM spinning turbo is they put an electric supercharger in here. Basically what that is an electric motor spinning a turbine instead of it being belt driven or exhaust driven to give it boost down low under 3,000 RPM. Drivability is awesome. It has enough torque down low around town, and then once you hit turbo, it just screams to about 67, right around there. I mean, it doesn't fall off at all. It just pulls and pulls and pulls. Really happy with this. Lots of power, and it's bolted to our favorite ZF 8-speed automatic. Can't ask for any more than that.
All right, let's check out the interior of the Defender 130. This is our first time with the Defender, but most importantly, this is a 130, and we're going to focus on that as far as the interior goes, because what you get in the Defender 130 is not an extra wheelbase, the exact same wheelbase as the 110, which is actually 119 inches, which is funny, but you get 12 feet out of here. They literally just add 12 feet, 12 inches. Okay. They literally add a foot here, and that's really all they did. They didn't do anything else, they just added a foot. So let's get on in here and see what we get, and what that gets you. It basically gets you this right here. You get more storage. So when you actually have the third row, you can get a third row in a 110 and you have no storage. Now we have a third row in the 130 and we still have some storage, and you can actually fold up all 3 sections, which I love that. That's a very Land Rover thing.
I like that a lot.
There's still some storage back here and there's a little bit more legroom. We'll show you that in just a second. Real easy to fold. And
wait, so in the 130, this is for my knowledge, I don't know. You actually get a little more legroom in the third row?
Get a little bit more legroom in the 130. So that's actually,
that is pushed a little bit. Okay.
And the seats, look, super simple. Just up and down, pull the thing, that's it. We're gonna leave them up because we're gonna sit back up there in a minute. But Brian, also back here, this is one of the great things. It's a Land Rover thing. Hit that button, you can lower it so it's a little more accessible height. Very nice. Underneath here, you get your jack and all that fun stuff and a target for your shooting. And then over here, Brian, when you're setting up shop for shooting, you get a little hazard sign you can put up so people don't get in your way.
The Euro triangle, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the exposed rivets everywhere. That's a cool design element.
Oh, yeah, very awesome. All right, let's check out that third row because that's what this is really about. It's a 130, it's extended. You just pull this little flap up here. It slides forward really easy on a track. Pretty easy to get into. Let's get back here and see what kind of room I've got. We'll get the headrest up. And you know what? It's not bad. I actually have some headroom. That's really cool. And I also get, look, I actually get a vent back here for myself in the third row. Usually third row people don't get that. I even get a USB-C charger. That's really nice. Like a little pocket cup holder. And look at this, Brian. I get a sunroof for myself. It's very LR3E. So you get back here and see if you got any headroom.
I gotta get in here?
Yeah, you gotta get in here. That's part of the review.
Jeez. Hang on, this seat's not forward all the way.
Okay.
There you go. All right, let's try this out.
Okay.
Gotta put a hand down.
Yep.
Because,
I mean, it is a third row. It's for a pinch.
yeah.
Like most third rows.
But there's headroom.
Look, can you believe that? Look at that.
Look at that.
Now, the bad news is what's getting ready to happen here. Oh, wait a minute.
That's not bad.
Wait a minute.
Oh, well, hold on. Oh, well, look, if this person doesn't have legs in front of me, we're fine.
Well, and there's a compromise. Look, they can compromise for you. They, compromise for the second row. We're gonna all actually fit in here and then actually work. Oh, problem solved.
There we go.
And that's that's why the 130 exists. There's actually room here. The 110, that's a problem. You're actually struggling here.
Well,
and
there's no option in the 110. And something else I want to point out compared to our LR3 is that when you close this, stays closed.
Actually blocks the light.
No, it actually stays closed.
Oh, and it stays closed. All right, Brian, let's check out the second row. Let's start with the door. You mentioned it in the back there. The rivets are all throughout this thing, and I love that you actually get the metal of the car, so you actually see the exterior color in the car in the interior. That's really cool. I love the way they've done it, and nothing feels cheap in here. The door handles everything's kind of outdoor focused. It's kind of rubberized, so it feels durable, but also doesn't feel cheap. I like that a lot. So getting on into the back though, see what kind of room we have. Now we've got this seat. You can actually slide it, pull a little handle.
That's nice.
Real easy to move. I've got all the way back. I've got plenty of room. I'm sitting behind myself, of course. I've got climate control back here, which is nice. It says it's 4 zones, so I guess it's, oh yeah, the 4 zones are 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can actually, back here, I want it cooler or hotter. That's actually nice to actually be able to have that option. USB-C, USB-C, but most importantly, Brian, let's see if there's room for you.
First of all, armrest.
Oh yeah, armrest, nice.
Which is nice, and yeah, no problem, which is, I love tall boxy cars because of this. Something else I want to point out, which is LR3 throwback, ceiling AC and low AC.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's what's really nice about that is you sit back here and you get airflow here
on your
and
brain.
Here, and that's, gosh, that's nice. That really is nice. One thing I will say, when you sit back here, Brian, there's one thing you see.
Headrest.
There's not really stadium seating here. You just see the headrest.
Okay,
so you have to lean over to do this number to
but
see.
It's a nice headrest.
No, it's fine.
Okay,
it's
front
fine.
row.
All right, moving on to the front, which is the best part about this whole thing as far as interior goes. The theme continues. You can see the exterior color, rivets, plenty of cubbies and storage holes, and that's the thing with the whole truck. Cubbies, storage holes.
Hey,
what we got?
There's memory seats on the passenger side.
Oh,
too.
wow. I didn't notice that. I haven't sat over there
I
yet.
haven't either. That's cool.
Okay, but getting in, look, I still have a grab handle up here.
Thank you.
Grab handles here, grab handles here, grab handles here.
Grab handles here. Grab the radio if you want.
And look, here's what happens. You get in and you just put all your stuff everywhere and you just dump it. It just doesn't matter. That is awesome.
And by the way,
it even passes
some water, I can hand it to you.
Oh, thanks, Brian. I wanted that water, so I'm gonna sit. Very good. But no, and then I'm done. I put it down there. There is storage everywhere in this thing, and that's probably one of the best things about it. So let's check out what kind of gauges and all that fun stuff we get. You can customize these gauges. You can go to 1 gauge in the middle. You can do just navigation, maps, all that sort of thing. I've got fuel economy in the center right now, but very easy to use. That part's really nice. You do get the bigger screen though with this package, and so you can get a smaller screen that fits in between these 2 bars. Basically, this screen's a little bit bigger. I like how it's curved, Brian.
Yeah, it's convex. I love that.
But that's really cool. And you know what? Land Rover used to get destroyed for the infotainment. This infotainment works.
It's awesome.
It's got wireless CarPlay, and that just works well. But even with CarPlay, it gives you neat features. It still uses the in-house nav if you want, and it still works the in-house stuff with Apple CarPlay really well. And of course, everything's customizable. That stuff's pretty neat. So pretty cool to play with all that. Down here, I like how they do the ball chillers, Brian. You hit this button here, you click it. It goes to the lowest setting first, and then it goes to the highest. That's the way it should work. Now, kind of a neat way to do that, and then you hit the button again, it goes back to just
I've got a question for you. Do you like that you have to toggle to get there?
It doesn't bother me. It's fine. Okay. But it is confusing at first because it says push here, and you're like, wait, what? I don't know. It's kind of confusing. So yeah, there is that.
Well, I mean, you have a much less cluttered design. And there's less buttons, but there's also less buttons, and a vehicle has a ton of features. So you show them what you have to toggle through to do other things.
Well, what do you mean?
So if you want to change fan control, you've got to hit this, and that becomes fan speed control. Or you can put it on auto for either side, however you want to do it. And then to do the drive mode selection, there's no big toggle flip. You got to hit this, and that becomes a controller for your drive modes from there. Which, it's not a huge deal. I just kind of wish drive-related things had like a hard key. That's all.
No, and to Brian's point, it was really confusing. He drove in eco mode for a while before we figured that out. I drove in a different mode for a while before I figured it out. It takes a minute, and obviously if you own it, that would be a problem solved quick.
Yeah, you drive it for a week and you figure it out.
The vents up here, you would think, would not be in a good spot. But
they're so low.
But they actually work great. They hit you in just the right spot, and that's really nice. And of course, you have a really commanding Land Rover view, and that's really good. But enough of all that, Brian. Let's see what it can do. Let's drive it. All right, Brian, we're in the all-new Defender with the P400 3-liter, 6-cylinder, 395 ponies. Hit it.
Turbo and supercharger all-wheel drive. We're in comfort mode.
Okay.
See what you got?
Good launch.
Drove to the brakes on brake boost.
Okay.
God, that thing rips. And 60 and 7.17 with you in here.
Yes, with me in here.
I drove through the brakes, so it was actually a bad launch. But off camera, Craig.
What did we get?
6.49.
We cracked 6.5.
Which is what we, off camera, we were like, oh, it's not going to get over 6.5 or under. Barely. Just barely. And look, I'm here to tell you, this is what Mazda meant to do with the CX-90's inline six. This is a great...
And their 48-volt system
and their 48-volt system and all that stuff. ZF8 speed.
Yep. Solves a lot of problems.
Right. 48-volt separate, just in a big starter, not sandwich.
Yep.
Works beautifully.
Amazing
Smooth,
how that works.
Velvet.
It sounds good.
It sounds awesome.
Plenty of power. This thing weighs 6,000 pounds.
Well, it wallows like it's 6,000 pounds, but it pulls like it's 4,000.
Well, and because you get this dive,
yeah, you get the
on launch and stop.
Yeah,
it also feels faster when you hit it. So it gets
yeah. Well, you get the whoa, you get the lift in the front, and it's all-wheel drive, so it's going to torque lift the front and all that kind of stuff, squat the rear. So it's kind of entertaining to run around in. I've had a good time with it.
It is. What do you think about the ride and drive and the commanding Land Rover position?
Okay, so look, we keep harkening back to the LR3 a lot because we have that in our fleet, and we're just always in it. And it is the grandpa to this.
Yes.
So, or the parent to this, and so we need to keep that in mind. You lose the the stadium seat in the rear, but in the front, it's very similar. I feel like you've got a good tall windshield.
Yep.
You've got good sight lines looking out. I like it a lot. I think the interior design is also excellent. You covered that already. But seating position is shockingly similar to the LR3 and LR4. It's not that far off. My only complaint from the driver's seat is that the center console is just closer to my knee.
Yeah.
It's not really a complaint.
If you're a bigger guy, that's a little bit of an issue.
And on the LR3, the console's so low, you can kind of like spread your leg a little more. You can man spread a little more. That's all.
Yeah.
Ride and drive, can we hit on that real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is air ride. It does not have adaptable dampers, and I think it should. Because the buyer of this doesn't actually give a crap about off-roading. They don't get the long one for that.
No.
And they would appreciate an adaptable damper on some handling scenarios to avoid the nosedive and reduce the side-to-side.
It's a lot of motion. There's a lot of body motion in this. Yeah.
And look, I always thought the LR3 rode the way that it did because the shocks were blowing out, because they are. But they ride awfully similar, which is mostly good. And some of it is that the dynamics aren't brilliant.
Sure.
But the ride quality is brilliant.
It is brilliant. In fact, you know, the ultimate test is my stupid neighborhood because it's got the worst roads on the planet.
Yep.
And air ride is like magic in that neighborhood.
Even with 20s, it just doesn't
Even
matter.
with 20s, this thing rode beautifully. There's been other vehicles that have ridden this good. It's not the best riding thing, but it's very good riding.
Sure.
And it's also, I'll say this though, despite the body motions, at speed in a straight line on a highway, Texas highway, at 70, 80, 90, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Legal speeds, it still feels stable enough, and you're not concerned as you're driving at speed.
Yeah, stability is not a concern. It's just there's a lot of, when you put an input in, there's a load up and a reaction.
Yeah.
And that's just part of air ride. That's okay. I want to talk, let's get in now, we're wrapping this up. I want to get into what this thing is and who is it for. That's where it gets a little confusing in the 130 flavor. Because I feel like the Defender as an off-road toy, air ride, locking rear diff is optional. You can get in this too if you want. V8, 4-cylinder, inline 6, like you've got a lot to choose from. And for the off-road overland guy, this is amazing. Yeah. Super cool. When you get into the 3-row functional family hauler, that stuff clearly has become less of a priority for Land Rover.
Yeah, your departure it gets destroyed.
Your breakover gets destroyed, and your departure.
Well, your breakover stays the same.
Oh, it does. Oh, it's just departure then. Okay. So that's an issue. And then also just be caveat honest. Land Rover asked us not to off-road this. Yeah. Which they've not done that in the past, and that's kind of that's okay.
It tells you a lot about an off-road vehicle called a Defender, though.
Oh, I know, but what I'm getting at is that the person that wants the 3-row, they've checked a box for someone that goes, I want a functional 3-row, which this is.
It is.
Land Rover's been honest about who's buying this and answered those things for those people, and it's not the actual off-roaders.
And that's where it gets really confusing. When you start getting the 3rd row, and I think that this has a 3rd row for people that are brand loyal to Land Rover. They have to have a Land Rover and they want the 3rd row. But you start at $88,000, there's Escalades, there's loaded up Yukons, or Tahoes, or Navigators, or Expeditions, Q7s. There's a lot of
X7s, X5s.
There's a lot of vehicles all of a sudden that, because now off-road thing doesn't matter as much. What are we doing?
And that's the point we should land on. Is it the best luxury 3-row for $88,000? I don't think so.
No.
But it is still off-road capable, so it can straddle that, and
Sure.
like you said, to the brand loyalists, they're covered.
Absolutely.
Now, all that covered, it's super quiet, and it is very luxurious. Like, it's not like it's a bad luxury car.
And look, we've never reviewed a Defender before, so when you get to the other flavors, a 110 or a 90 all of a sudden make a lot more sense, especially at lower
Yeah.
price points. Now you're competing against the new Land Cruiser coming out, the current GX460.
Oh, yeah.
Those types of things, or the Broncos are kind
Yeah,
of
all the way down to Wrangler Broncos, all the way up to this.
Now all of a sudden that thing's a little more compelling because you do get more luxury compared to some of those other competitors, and
Right.
it's still off-road capable. It's a more compelling choice at that point.
Yeah, if you want a Bronco but you need to have a roof, Land Rover's got you covered.
All right, that's about it. So, Brian, we're going to end it here. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and like. That's how we keep making more of these. And share the video, whatever. I don't know. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.
There
That's
it
what
is.
inline sixes should be.
Oh, it sounds right.